Hey friends, welcome back. I have been thinking about the beginning experiences since we've been talking a lot about the things that have helped me to start. When I was thinking about these things, I remember having this realization that I was emotionally and psychologically connected to certain foods on a very deep level. I don't think that many people talk about this part, and I feel like I need to bring it to people's awareness because it can really help to get you over that hump of changing to these new foods. I was one who didn't really eat too many fruits. I eat vegetables and stuff, so I was okay with that. But I wasn't accustomed to eating mainly those foods. I had a diet that was full of junk food and not good things, fried things, salty things, sweet things, and not naturally sweet. So there was this period where I would say you have to unlearn what you know about food. I had to emotionally detach myself from what foods made me happy, like desserts and snacks and all those kind of things, or pizza, or things that make you excited, or things that you eat when you're stressed, or things that when you're having a bad day, you go and grab. I had to change that and match with foods that are going to help me to heal. So that was a tough process. I kind of want to just share my thought process through this and share my experience with it and share some of the things that I did to help me overcome that transitional period of unlearning or identifying your emotions and psychological connection to certain things, certain foods and meals. And how did I get over that and get into eating more things that were beneficial for my body? I think the first thing that you really need is to take some time to sit down and think about food that you are gravitate towards when you are stressed, when you're tired, when you're depressed, when you had a hard day, or you use to make you happy. Think about those kind of foods and write down the reasons why you feel a certain way. Like maybe every time after a hard day of work, you like to treat yourself to a Friday night out of eating pizza. Or maybe it's the weekend and you want to relax and enjoy yourself. And so you're going to have some nachos for lunch, and then you're going to have an ice cream sundae or whatever it is for you, whatever the food is. But take some time to identify how those foods play into your life and what connection you have to them. Because I think it's more than just like, oh, I like to eat that. There's actually an emotional and psychological attachment to it that we may not always talk about. And I think that the emotional and psychological side of it really is the tough part because it's not really addressed. So I think that's the hardest part for people to switch. Well, I found that was the hardest thing for me. It wasn't necessarily like knowing that something is bad for me to eat or something is good. I think I knew that, but it was more like challenging myself to understanding why, if I know that is good and that is bad, then why can't I go and just eat it? I struggled with that for a little bit. The reason why is because I had certain emotional attachments to things, and I was using food to help me feel better about myself or my day or stress. It was like an adrenaline rush from all the fat foods. It made me really happy. You get this burst of adrenaline and you get a sugar high from the fake sugars of those desserts or candies or the crunching of potato chips is like the actual like just biting something crunchy and like constantly going like this like a popcorn or so. That motion is like interpreted in my head like relaxation after a long day. So there's like these things that I had realized about myself that I was like, okay, well, now I need to change my behavior. And that means I need to go and find substitutions when I have those feelings or am searching for those things so I won't go and search and grab those foods. And so this is what I did to help me with that. I made a list of all the foods that I should be eating to help me to heal. And I made this list as a base or foundation list that I could choose my grocery list from or make my meals around. So it was like, okay, I have all these food components, and then I matched them together to make something. That's how I did my meals. I didn't have a recipe. I just took whatever healing foods that what I needed to eat in the day to help a certain symptom, whether it was to get rid of pathogens, whether it was to help strengthen my nervous system or boost my immune system. I would take all of those foods and just combine them together. And then that's how I made meals. But in addition to making a list of all these foods, I actually wrote down the reasons why I was eating those foods. Like when you work out and you have that mind to body connection, I was doing the same thing where every time I ate my food, I would remind myself why I was eating it and that, okay, I'm eating these dates because they're going to support my adrenal glands and they're going to give me sugar. They're going to help blah, 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 you know? And so that's what I would do. And every time I would eat, I would go back to that list and I would remind myself why I was eating it. And so it became like a little bit of conditioning where I no longer was just eating to eat because I was bored or I needed an adrenaline boost or I needed it to relax me. No, I was using these meals and food for a purpose to heal. So I would always look at my meals as medicine and like thought, okay, well, here's my time now. I need to take my medicine. And what am I taking this medicine for? And I would review it. And that's one of the things that I had done. The second thing that I had done was I made a list of foods of what not to eat. And I listed the reasons for that as well. So every time I would want to reach out and eat something that wasn't good for me, let's just say something that had dairy or eggs or something like that, I would remind myself, you can choose to eat that, but what you're working so hard to do and to heal, this is going to set you back on that. And it could make a symptom worse. It could make your progress go backwards. And I would have that kind of thought and conversation in my mind so that it would steer me away from eating the no foods. I never ever said that I could not eat something. I actually would tell myself, I can eat that if I want to, but here's what's going to happen to your body. And do I want to make that choice? That's how I positioned it. Because telling me to not be able to do something maybe sometimes want to do it more. So I didn't look at it that way. I just was like, well, you could eat that if you want to, but you could be making your progress go back, or you could be making your symptom worse. And now it's going to take even longer for you to feel better. So I kind of had those kind of thoughts in my head. So I reconditioned myself to see these foods for what they would do and what kind of effect they would have on my body rather than oh no, just don't eat that food because blah, 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 blah. I made it really personal, like seeing it as, okay, if I eat this food, this is going to happen. So don't just say, oh yeah, it's bad for you because of the blah, blah, blah. Make it personal. Like what would personally happen to you if you ate those foods? And I think that hits a little bit closer to home and makes you feel a different way about the foods versus so generalized. And it's like, yeah, it could do this, but I'm fine with that. If you make it a little bit more personal, then you can think about like, okay, all that work, all that hard work that I've been putting in to eat these healing foods. Now I'm going to go backwards by eating one of this thing. And that's how I kind of felt. I was like, no, I don't want to do that. And the last thing I would suggest for you, well, not suggest, but what I did was I kept a food journal. And in this food journal, I listed what I ate. One, because I wanted to make sure that I had enough variety of fruits and vegetables so that I was covering, like supporting my body as much as I can, because there were so many healing foods I could eat, but I couldn't eat all of them in a day. So I would make sure to kind of rotate and get some things in at certain times so that I had a good variety of foods to support my body. But in addition to keeping a list so I could see that I was getting a variety of foods, I had also wrote down every day how a food or while I was eating something or just even just a note of how I was feeling for the day. I wrote down how I emotionally felt and how my mind felt, like psychologically how I felt. Did I have a struggle, like I wanted to eat something in my mind, but I didn't necessarily have the desire? I was like struggling with, it was more of a mind thing. Or was it kind of an emotional like struggle today where I was feeling really fatigued? I didn't have the energy and I really, really wanted to pull out that frozen pizza and heat it up in the oven. So I really analyzed the desire, the intentions behind the desires and the struggles. And keeping a food journal really helped me to identify them. So if you're starting out, or maybe you're looking to revisit your diet, or maybe you're struggling at this moment, I can tell you right now, keeping a food journal is quite beneficial and it will help you to identify and clarify what are the real triggers and what the real things that you need to address versus just going like, oh, I don't want to eat that, or I do, and I just don't have the willpower. Because it's more than that. It's way more than just like, I don't have the power. Because I'm pretty sure anybody who is chronically ill has the drive, has the strength to go and change your diet and to want to heal. We all want to heal. So it's nothing to do with that you do not have the drive or that you do not have the strength. I'm telling you right now, you have the strength. You just may not have the correct tools and you're having trouble identifying the issues, and you may not know what solutions that you could have to solve these issues. But I can tell you right now, drive is not the issue and work ethic is not the issue. It's not any of those things. So I hope that this video kind of helped you maybe identify some of the issues or gave you something to think about so that you can move forward and you can continue and you can be consistent and you can heal. That's the main thing, so that you can heal. So thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.